problem is, I think automatically everybody wants to do what they want to do
from the start.
You can't do that. So I could tell you a quick story real quick. Damon and I was in the office. We had this huge foyer office, right in the lobby, I should say. You walk in the lobby, you sit down. Some guy came over to the counter and was like, desk was like, hey, you know, I want to meet with such and such and such. So we sitting looking like, who the fuck is this guy? You know, whatever. Long story short, my guy tells him to hold on, go sit down. So Dame and I sitting there. Dame had a chain on. I was always diamond out. I was stupid. And
the right attack.
I was ridiculous. And he's like, well, damn, they must pay you good around here. Wow. Dame and I looked at each other. Before I could say something, Damon said, get the fuck out of my office. I don't give a fuck. Well, I'm going to see I'm here to see. Well, first of all, if you're here to see somebody, you should know what the fuck you want to see. You should do your research. So again, once you get that power, you can do what you want. Now, even when I got to the point of I can wear what I want, everything I wore is mine. You know what I'm saying? And that's when you have real power. Because I can wear my own suit. I can wear my own shoes. I can wear my own watch. I can wear my own underwear. I can wear my own socks. I can wear my own coat. I could drive my car with my own goddamn rims.
That's the power of influence, though, right there. Like I remember watching them on Video Music Box. Like I remember like Ralph McDaniels coming to Queens, being in front of the house, and talking about this label. I'm like, yo, what is this? But like that influence is like trickles down to where it's like. I remember when they was like wearing the t-shirts and then LL did the joint and then it was like, oh, they gotta wear suits. They made their own. Right? Like you want to watch, they made their own.
We need to talk about that LL.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So but that trickles down. So like when people see us, you're gonna see us wearing our own, right? Like we gotta put a suit on, we're gonna design our own. Right? When we gotta wear something, we're gonna design our own. But that's like the representation part that gets trickled down to this generation. Where now it's like we could be looked at as a fashion couture label now, not just entrepreneurs who actually know something about financial literacy. We become global in a bunch of different ways, a bunch of different avenues, but we've seen it here. I mean, like that's the power of impact right there.
Has it changed though? Has the perception changed to the, and this is again for all three of y'all, has it changed?
Has what changed?
When you walk into a corporate office, we used to, a suit was mandatory. Because you look but now
I'll let him go.
Do these same folks after years of doing business with us and seeing how we do things in the market and seeing how we got the sauce, seeing how we're able to source out everything we touch and we got the juice. Do they see this as money now?
It's one thing I learned early on is life's golden rule is the man with the gold makes the rules. So like he said, it's all about leverage. Mark Zuckerberg could wear a hoodie and he never got questioned. And, that's been popular in the tech world for a long time. But they had the leverage because these is billion-dollar companies. When you see, I just came back from the Middle East, you see they walking into meetings with their custom garb on. Nobody's paying because they billionaires. They can wear whatever they want to wear. So of course, you have to use some level of intelligence. You coming just out of college and you dress like I am now and you go on to Wall Street, it's not going to work out for you. It's not.
Right.
But now they know who we are. So if we're going into a meeting, we can wear whatever we want for the most part. Right? Because they already know who we are and they're trying to court our business.
Your resume speaks, your reputation precedes you.
So I think that gotta use. So I was talking to Jim Jones about this. And even he said it, like you gotta use some level of intelligence when you're dressing. Dressing is very important. How you carry yourself is very important. This is why it's important to understand, like you put a tattoo on your face, right? Well, if you're a rapper, then that's not a big deal.
That's your uniform.
Yeah.
But if you
Damn.
Shots.
Pull it back down. Pull it back down. Just a second.
All right. There you go.
But it's no. I'm just saying, like it's not a big deal in the community. Nobody's going to bat an eye at that
Right.
every day. But like I said, if you go to Wall Street, then that might be a big deal. 20 years from now, it might not be a big deal. They might have evolved to a point where that's not a big deal.
Right.
So you just have to know your environment, the leverage that you bring, and what are you comfortable compromising? Because at a certain point, it's all about, life is about compromise, right? And this is something that's extremely important to understand. Compromising doesn't mean that you're selling out. It just means that you're moving in an intelligent manner, right? Like if you invite me to your wedding, I'm gonna dress accordingly because I don't want to disrespect you, right? Even if I never have a suit, I'm gonna buy a suit, right? Just because, or I'm just not gonna go. I'm not gonna say, well, this is how I feel like dressing every day, so I'm gonna show up with a sweatsuit to your wedding. That's not intelligent.
Do you think we lack compromise? So many of us don't want to have to.
We lack intelligence on a certain level to even understand etiquette. A lot of people don't even know how to tie a tie.
So you telling me?
But is it intelligence or just the rebellious nature of not wanting to conform?
I think it's a little bit of both, but it's also a certain amount of not being educated. And this is when I was talking to Jim, and he was like, he didn't know how to tie a tie. I don't think, or somebody like, usually your father teaches you how to tie a tie. So if your father's not there, if your father doesn't know how to tie a tie, then that's going to hurt you, right? So a lot of these things are taught to you by somebody who has a higher level of understanding than you have. This is how you grow, right? When somebody sits you down and say, look, this is an environment, this is how you have to move in an environment, this is how you handle yourself, this is how you carry yourself, this is how you dress for different circumstances, this is how you address certain people, this is how you address a lady, you open doors for women, this is how you address children. If none of that was ever taught to you, then it's like a free fall.
Right.
You don't know how to talk to kids, you don't know how to talk to adults, you don't know how to talk to you walking around with your pants down in front of a 70-year-old. Like, it's just certain things that you might not even be aware that this is not the most intelligent way to go about it.
How much do we respect that now? How much respect do we have? A lot of what you just talked about, and I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm literally asking. A lot of what you talked about is tradition, for lack of a better term. I passed this down, he passed that down, tradition. When I, as a shorty, see the guy who doesn't know how to talk to a lady, pulling a lady. When I see the guy who doesn't wear a suit ever, but he's got all the money, he's buying all the cars, the people who work for him are wearing suits. When I see someone who doesn't know how to tie a tie, but he's got a chain on, and it costs more than my tie. Well,
let me say one quick. So this goes back to understanding that if you really think about it, we don't really have a culture. We don't have culture as Black people in America. What I mean by that is, like, if you look at, like, if you go to Asia or Africa, this is 300, 500 years. You go to weddings, they wear traditional garbs. They have ceremonies. You got to talk to the family. You got to give the family a gift before you marry their daughter. We don't have any of that because we just kind of makeshift. We just making up things. So if you go to our weddings, we dressing like Europeans, but that's not our culture. But we don't really have a culture. So we're just pulling different things from out the air.
So again, I gotta ask, like, is that our rebellious? Is this us trying to create our own culture? Because at the same time, like, you've made millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars off of catering to what we want to wear. You dig what I'm saying? So I think that has to be part of a culture.
I think it's assimilating a bunch of cultures together, right? To say, like, oh, this is one of ours. But I think it all revolves around kind of like what he's saying, right? What's our level of education around the topic, right? What's our level of exposure around the topic? What's our level of experience around the topic? And then can we execute all those things, right? How can we do all those things? So if I'm not educated, who am I around that can educate me? Who am I seeking who can teach me, right? If I saw that dude and that's not how I want to do it, let me follow that guy, right? But the problem is we look at that dude, like the teacher, and like, oh, he's a cornball. Nah, but he's a married man and he was raising 3 kids and has a solid job, right? Like, who we getting our education from? Who's exposing us to the information? It could be the dude on the corner, like, yo, shorty, nah, this ain't what you supposed to do. But a lot of times we don't have that, right? Like they say, like these OGs is missing. Like I don't, me and him have that same common bond where it was like, I don't know who our OGs was. I know we had our fathers. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. So they led by example. So now it's up to us to say like, all right, we saw what they did. We like some of those characteristics about what we saw. We're going to educate ourselves around it. Now it's time for us to set the example so that the next generation, like my young boy right here, he can execute on the things he's seen. Now we pass it down to him. Now his job is to do the same thing. But we skip it. Like we skip all those steps. Like the guys that were looked up to, when you think about it in life, why are we looking up to them?
Because they made it look sexy.
Right? But as you get older, you realize like, yo,
that shit wasn't sexy.
This shit wasn't sexy at all. You know what I'm saying? You're like, yo, this dude is standing on the same spot that he was saying.
They stopped looking sexy. It stopped looking sexy because
it depends on who you was looking up to.
No, when they blood, like brains is on the goddamn floor, that shit don't look sexy.
It stopped looking sexy.
When you in jail for 30 years, that shit don't look sexy.
It stopped looking sexy.
It's Hoffa. Trapper turn smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rappers. Got bars, I can hang with the backpackers. Trap star, I don't hang with the backpackers. I'm in the hood with the work you heard. Making fiends leave earth you heard. Got your baby mama thirst you heard. Feel the flow, nigga, throw it in reverse. This the wave you need to surf you heard.